Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Historical Humans Reacts. And on today's episode, we're digging up something of the past, something quite interesting from the crazy emperor himself, the Mad Emperor, right? What other nicknames did Caligula
So,
have?
so Caligula was a terrible emperor. However, I don't believe he necessarily gets the epithet of mad too much. He is one of the more insane members of the
He
dynasty.
declared war on Poseidon.
Yep, yep. There's actually a lot of fun stuff as to whether Caligula was actually insane or whether he just really liked insulting his fellow noble Romans.
Oh,
Because compared to some of the other people that get in the emperor's chair, Caligula's actions seem more about humiliating the people around him and less patterns of erratic irrationality.
oh, do explain. That sounds so juicy.
Well, Caligula had beef with the Senate, and so to prove that he was superior to any senator and the Senate's authority, he appointed his horse a senator, saying, "You are to me what this is." Yeah,
And everyone else just looks at it like, yeah, this guy's crazy. He pointed his
yeah,
horse.
yeah. Yeah, his declaration of war on the sea was due to his failed attempt to cross the English Channel and invade England. The men would not board the ships to do it. So he ordered them to fight the ocean as punishment. If they could successfully fight the ocean, he would forgive them.
Oh no.
Fun fact: it's the ocean.
So it won.
Yeah, more or less. He
Okay.
made them carry buckets of seashells as their righteous plunder from the rich lands of Britain for their glorious victory over this foe. You see how it's like a pattern of humiliation.
Okay, I actually do kind of like this guy.
Yeah. That said, he was terrible at his job. He only rules for 4 years. And one of the things that this article notes, talking about some new porticos and other things that have been discovered with his inscription on it, is almost everything that mentions his name comes from the nobility long after he's dead, meaning that it's like the children of the people he insulted writing, "Who was Caligula?" Answer: an asshole. Because they they no longer have to fear him about 23 years after he gets assassinated, because then his dynasty's out of power. No one's going to be offended if you write down, "Hey, this emperor was terrible."
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's
The
I could kind of see why he might have been assassinated then if he liked to humiliate people a lot.
yeah. Especially especially people with authority and power. He uh he actually he actually gets killed by his own guard. I believe it is the first time the Praetorian Guard murder an emperor. It's far from the last, and so a big reason why this portico is important is because when you're that unpopular, people tend to strike your name off things. And when you rule for only 4 years, you don't have a lot of things to get your name stricken off from. So the fact that we are finding a massive stone monument that still has his name on it is it's very special for the archaeology and just for the knowledge level. He doesn't get damnatio memoriae, which is where they would systematically remove all record of him. But the next guy could just easily say, "Hey, change the inscription line to say me," because I'm it's my first day on the job and I need some glory.
that's that's so interesting though. So this portico managed to survive, and it was overlooking a garden near the Tiber, and it was only discovered because they were doing lead pipe. So it was basically contract archaeology that found it because they were doing construction, and this happens quite a lot, more so in Europe, where you stick a shovel in the ground and you hit something Roman.
Yeah. I personally love that they're in Rome installing lead pipes. when the Romans built the waterways for their aqueducts out of solid lead and all gave themselves lead poisoning.
Yeah,
Like leading cause of death over 30 is lead poisoning.
I'm hoping that maybe they're removing old lead pipes and replacing them with something more effective and efficient and modern.
I don't know. I don't know. The way you said it the first time sounds like they're laying it. In which case, Rome is Rome, and when in Rome,
Well, it just construction work at the Piazza Pia underpass led to a discovery of the colonnaded portico and large open design, and
uh,
it was due to a lead water pipe.
uh,
It doesn't say.
uncovered in situ, meaning that they were following the old Roman water pipe that they came across to see where it led, and
Ah,
it came to the portico. They were building an underpass for cars to pass under a highway or a road. Found these lead pipes and said, "That's got to lead to something." It led to this. Yeah,
follow me
very.
to the Caligula garden. That's cool. And
Yeah.
wasn't Caligula a part of Caesar's dynasty, or is that incorrect?
Yes, he is part. He is part of the Julio Claudians. He is part of the first dynasty of Rome. He really you know he really leans into like the every other one being terrible at their job.
Why? Ow.
Because with the Julio Claudians, we go Augustus, the first and one of like the greatest emperors in Roman history.
Which is Julius Caesar, as we know it, correct?
No, Augustus is Julius Caesar's nephew.
Oh,
Caesar
he.
gets murdered before he can take the throne.
Oh, okay.
And
Because
then,
this is emperors, not leaders of the republic, right?
yeah. Caesar
I
was
always get that mixed up. I
yeah,
swear. But okay, so Caesar was just a leader, and then Augustus was an emperor,
yeah,
and
was
one
the
of the
was
best emperors ever.
yeah. And then it gets followed up by Tiberius, a man who was more likely to actually have some form of mental illness. Um, Not the least of which being nymphomania.
Ooh, well, good for him.
uh, and a lot of extreme delusions of paranoia. Then
Again,
you get
sounds about right for the Romans.
yeah. Then you get Caligula, who is a aggressive egotist. Then you get Claudius, who is one of like only two or three like scholastic emperors. Yeah, and he's actually goes up. And then you get Nero, he's just Nero.
And watched while Rome burned, kind of
Yeah,
Nero.
the whole fiddled will Rome burn kind of thing, deeply unpopular, self-aggrandized, um, obsessed with his mother in a way that would make Oedipus put out more than his eyes.
Oedipus. Unfortunate. Okay.
Things like that. But yeah, Caligula here really doesn't he doesn't get a lot of spotlight just because he is sort of this short rinse and repeat reign between the longer reigns of Augustus and Tiberius and then that of Claudius, of sort of like this, transition period between stable but kind of fucked up to back to stable again.
And what did he do that his Praetorian Guard specifically went after him?
What pissed them off, along with all the other insults heaped on the Senate and everyone he talked to, which would have included his guard, he crossed the one line that the Romans really couldn't let you cross. And that was he committed sacrilege publicly.
Oh.
The Romans really had one rule about gods, and that was that you can't be a god unless you're dead. This rule was passed down from the time of Romulus and Remus, who only ascend to godhood when each of them is respectively murdered. And so it's seen as saying, I'm greater than Rome itself, the greatest thing in all of existence, to declare yourself a god while you're alive. Caligula did this because he had the logic of the emperors become gods when they die. Why shouldn't I be a god now? To which the Senate said, gods don't bleed, and proceeded to have the Praetorians stab him.
Jesus Christ. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, there's very few rules as far as what counts as unacceptable in the Roman religion, and it's basically declaring your own divinity and monotheism.
Oof.
Like that's really the two lines, and he crosses one, and that just ends it for him.
Well, cool. I think that's actually a great point to wrap up. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, let us know down below, and we'll see you in the next one.